Torre, Justin Tinsley, Tim Kalishaw, Mina Kimes. Thursday Night Football. 2 weeks ago, Colts-Broncos, someone on this panel said it would be bad. Last week, Washington-Chicago, someone in this panel said it would be better. Who's making the promise this week? Saints-Cardinals.
Not
Also,
can't be
NBA
worse,
season
right?
opener day after.
Famous last word.
Overreaction Thursday. Let's go around the horn.
Get it.
Thursdays.
Friday Eve.
Pelicans 130, Brooklyn 108. New Orleans ripping the Nets in the season opener. Zion's return, everything they could have hoped for. 25-9 in 30 minutes. And the balance, the Pelicans on the floor, everything they dreamed it could be. And Brooklyn, somnambulant. Irving 0 for 6 from 3. Simmons 4, 5, 5, and foul out. The final image of this team on the bench. It begins. Pablo Torre, don't you dare try to come here and praise Zion first. Mina, I see you as well. Start with the Nets and the woof of the opener blow.
Tony, what do you want from me? You want me to tell you that my 25,000 to 1 MVP bet on Ben Simmons doesn't look great on October 20th? Because you're right. It doesn't look so smart right now. But I will say this. The problem with Ben after one game, and it has been one game, a season, by the way, in which currently the Jazz are worse than the Nuggets. We'll get to that, I'm sure, in a second here.
Don't try to distract from what happened with Brooklyn.
I'm just saying, we have yet to even see Ben play the fourth quarter, which is the problem and the silver lining. He fouled out. You fouled out early in the fourth quarter. So the questions I have remain. The answers that we get are clear, right? Like, he's not ready to be the best version of himself. He's not even close. The bad news, of course, is that the guy who also missed a year happened to be playing against him, running through him in Zion Williamson. And God bless anybody who makes their return against that dude, because that is where I think the conversation should
You can get there in a second. Mina Kimes, you're not getting off here scot-free either. Go ahead on Brooklyn's debut.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was underwhelming, especially underwhelming relative to what we saw from the Pelicans, given that, you know, there are some novel lineups as well, but the team cohesion was really in stark contrast to Brooklyn's. I mean, the Pelicans outpassed them, out-rebounded them, dominated them in the paint, so much so that the Pels starting five almost outscored the Nets' entire team in the paint. And Tony, you said earlier Zion gave the Pelicans everything they could have asked for and more. The truth is, he's capable of a lot more, and that's what makes this team so scary. He shot like 50% from the floor. We know from watching Zion when he's healthy that he can be even more efficient. So my takeaway from night one, the Pels are as exciting as advertised, and Brooklyn has a long way.
All right, but look what that little sleight of hand you tried to do. For years, you're talking about the Nets. For years, you're jumping on the Nets bandwagon, and here it was all about the Pelicans for you. Convenient.
Sorry for accurately describing the basketball.
Tim Kalishaw, have you come to praise Zion or blame the Nets?
Just going to have praise for the Pelicans. Just go back to last April. This is a team that had to play its way in to get that 8 seed and play a team we thought was invincible. Now, Dallas beat Phoenix in the second round, but when New Orleans is playing them, we still thought this is the best team in the NBA. They're going to win it all. And Willie Green's team came out, hit him in the mouth, made him go 6 games. And you take that team and you add like a fresh number 1 overall pick, Zion Williamson. Throw him into the mix with the team that was already competing with the Suns. And that's what you have. Ingram was great last night, actually outscored Zion. C.J. McCollum feels like he's reborn. They've got some depth. That's a very interesting team.
And Justin Tinsley, have you come to praise the Zion and Pels or bury the Nets?
No, this is all about the Pelicans. I get it's game 1 of 82, but last night showed why there's so much excitement about that team. They're a pretty deep team. I really like what Valanciunas brings to them, and they're a very well-coached team by Willie Green. But this all boils down to that 3-headed monster of Zion, C.J. McCollum, and Brandon Ingram. C.J. can score at all 3 levels. Brandon Ingram has already proven himself to be one of the best scorers in the league, and Zion Williamson is a game breaker of all game breakers. Yes, I get that he hasn't played a lot of games in his career up to thus far, But last night was already his 47th game of scoring 25 points on 50% shooting in less than 100 games. That speaks for itself right there. Look, I really like this team. They could be one of the best teams in the West and potentially a top 5 team.
Put a number on it. Oh, top 5. Okay, yeah, you're saying they could be one of the. You think they could be a top 5 seed in the West? There we go. Pablo Torre, now the floor is yours on New Orleans.
I agree with the top 5 seed thing for New Orleans. I, by the way, also would say that Zion Williamson is one of the most dominant players, scorers in the paint that we've just ever seen historically. Look at the statistics. It's insane. But the thing about last night, Tony, the Pelicans putting Kevin Durant specifically in a torture chamber despite him scoring 30. He has Brandon Ingram, who looks and plays like him, outplaying him. He has Herb Jones, one of those deep, other guys on the Pelicans, blocking a Kevin Durant 3, which is another physics equation that doesn't make sense to me. This is a team that, is so much better.
So top 5 in the West. I love the day after the opening day because you have 8 teams in the top 5 in a conference. You always do it, but I'll allow it for now. Season opener, day after, overreaction Thursday, and who else impressed you last night? So we got Paolo Banchero, the number 1 pick. His debut goes right in a sentence with the debuts of LeBron James and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. 27, 9, and 5. The only other number 1 picks to have that. So that's one way to overreact. And then Memphis, OT, win over the Knicks. Bulls without LaVine over the Heat. Gobert, 23-16 in his mini debut. Suns over the Mavs. Or the Jazz and the Walker Kessler revolution, talk about debuts, crushing the Nuggets, whom 4 hours earlier Woody Page picked to win the championship. Tim Kalishaw, who impressed you most?
So many good choices, Tony. I'm tempted to go with the Phoenix Suns without Chris Paul because that's the only way they beat Dallas last night, and that's something to watch going forward as he was on the bench when they made that comeback. Not injured, by the way. But I'm going to go with the Chicago Bulls. As you mentioned, no Zach LaVine. They also don't have Lonzo Ball for quite a while. But they besides 37 from DeRozan, 4 threes from Dragic off the bench, Kobe White, their guards took over the game, again on the road against a team that was a shot away from the NBA Finals. So give the Bulls a credit.
Times most impressive.
Yeah, I got to go with the Bulls as well, largely because of the level of competition versus some of those other games you mentioned. Beating the Heat without LaVine is extremely impressive. Beating them as a team, leaning on those new bench contributions from Dragic and Drummond. The fact that their new starting guard, Ayo Dosunmu, looked fantastic is notable. And then, of course, getting Caruso back as that defensive glue guy. They look like the real deal. They look like an actual playoff team.
Pablo Torre.
Give me the Jazz for a night, Tony, because the humor here of Danny Ainge tanking as hard as anyone's ever tanked for a season, then getting a win over a team that, by the way, Woody's not alone in this. The Nuggets are like a title favorite for a lot of smart basketball people. This is the magic of the NBA. I don't think it's going to last at all, but if they win a second game, give me a picture-in-picture camera on Danny Ainge's face as Victor Wembanyama drifts away out of his future.
Justin Tinsley.
I'm going Banchero. This guy looks league ready already, and I really hope for Orlando that this is the centerpiece that they've been waiting for. They got a really good team with him, Suggs, and Wagner, and hopefully this is the start. And I know they lost last night, but hopefully this is the start from them going from NBA purgatory to at least league pass, darling, which is the first step in NBA relevance.
NBA ready is a term that gets thrown around a lot. When you come out and that debut sentence is LeBron James and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Pretty great start. The bonk is open. We'll move on. Thursday night football. 2-4 Saints, 2-4 Cardinals. Who you got? So, can we call this a crossroads game? And we pray and we pray and we pray to Wally and Uncle Charles that this is better than last week and the week before. That Saints haven't made a decision on quarterback yet. Looking like Andy Dalton, looking like Jameis Winston isn't ready yet. And for Arizona, the return of DeAndre Hopkins suspension for performance enhancers. Whether D-Hop can defibrillate this Arizona offense and stir up calamari. Mina Kimes, who has a better chance to turn around their season?
You know, I'm going with Arizona in this one, but not because of calamari, but rather because of their defense, who have quietly been playing really well as their offense has struggled. Over the last 3 weeks of the season, Vance Joseph's unit has ranked 4th in expected points added per play. The Saints, 28th. And mind you, both of those defense played the Seahawks and put up wildly different results. I also think the fact that the Saints don't have Lattimore at the exact moment that DeAndre Hopkins comes back doesn't bode well for improvement on that side of the ball.
Tim Kalisha.
Yeah, I got to think the Saints' lack of health and the return of DeAndre Hopkins. The Cardinals are 3-8 since he went out. They went from a team that was 7-0 started last year and then fell apart without Hopkins. I don't know that he can put all the pieces back together, but he can put enough of them back together, especially with no Marshawn Lattimore, to win the game tonight.
Tinsley.
First of all, Tony, I appreciate the Bone Thugs and Harmony reference. I really, really appreciate that. But I have to ask the crowd to practice patience on this. Both of these teams are top 3 in terms of fourth quarter scoring. So we might actually get an explosive Thursday night game just in the fourth quarter. But I'm going with Arizona because I really think somebody like Cliff Kingsbury needs this.
Must-win game for Cliff Kingsbury.
I won't say must win, but he definitely needs to win it because this Arizona team has largely underperformed with him as this tenure. So now he's got his quarterback that's paid. He's got his number 1 receiver coming back. So you better hope they win this.
Largely underperformed. I don't think there's any large about it. I mean, this has just been a complete failure for Arizona this year. Pablo Torre on the return of Hopkins, whether that can get it going or what New Orleans has to bring to the table.
No, all of these reasons are why I'm out on the Cardinals. I understand there's room for optimism here, but the fact that the best argument for Cliff Kingsbury keeping his job is he's so desperate that it looks like he's going to try hard now is worrisome. It's really worrisome because the pattern on him collapsing like in the last half of every season has been established. He's gotten to it early this season with the first half. And the worst part of it is, Tony, the underperformance. It's also the fact that they're boring. It's really annoying to watch a team that I know has Kyler Murray on it, and their offensive line is bad, and he is bad, and the coach is bad. Like, they're depriving us from something that could actually be fun, and it's just the opposite.
Kalishaw on Cliff Kingsbury.
Well, he needs to keep calling the plays. That's what he was hired to do. He wasn't hired to be a defensive coach or really an overall winning coach at Texas Tech. But the Cardinals are going to be fine. Let's all calm down up there in Plasma 4. They're doing all right.
Time's last word.
Sure.
I don't know if they're going to be fine, Tim, Bart, because the guy who's calling the plays is not doing a great job of calling the plays. But I do think the return of Hopkins is going to help them a lot.
You've got Arizona tonight, Mina?
I do have
Kalishaw?
Arizona tonight.
Arizona.
Tinsley?
Yep, Arizona.
Torre.
Nolans.
Taking a break by herself.
They've been a little better. And then Bryce Harper was going to continue to be the dominant hitter. Yesterday's game certainly gave the Padres life. I think it's going to be a great series. I think it's going to be won in San Diego. It's not going to be over quickly, but I still like the Phillies.
Still like the Phillies. And Nola,
Sure.
an ace of this team, having the letdown.
He
Some
got
are calling back the
one
Cliff
inning.
Lee game a decade ago. You're not. Okay. Very positive from a Philadelphia standpoint. Justin Tinsley, how about you?
I'm just enjoying the excitement this series is bringing thus far. But one player in particular I'm looking forward to as the series shifts back to Philly is Juan Soto. When the Nationals won the World Series in 2019, his OPS was 927. This year is 560. He's got 8 strikeouts to 4 RBIs, and he's batting 222. His bat has to wake up for San Diego.
You think it will in Philly, a ballpark.
A familiar
He knows
ballpark.
a little bit. Okay. Pablo Torre?
But that's why I'm optimistic. He hit his first homer yesterday. I mean, this is the big thing. It's Soto, it's Drury, it's Bell, right? I mean, these are the acquisitions that should make the Padres lineup that much stronger. They've been asleep, now they're awake. Combine that with a good bullpen. I like San Diego for that reason.
Nina Kimes.
It's Drury, Bell, and also Nola. Austin Nola winning the battle of the brothers. Downright biblical. I thought that augurs well for the Padres moving forward. As much pain as it clearly gave their parents, by the way, who had no idea how to react.
Yeah, how do you react in that instance, right? I mean, I know Dad's got 2 different hats on, one over the other. He's got 2 different jerseys on, the opposite over the other, and it's an amazing. And Mom, he's just got nothing. She's got no face, no poker face. It's like, yeah, it's amazing. All right. Tim is so positive from the Philly perspective. I like that with that Philly red. We'll move on. Buy or sell two. Stop me when this next one sounds familiar. Justin Verlander, playoff gem against the Yankees. Just mowing down Yankees. Yankees struck out 17 times to Astros pitchers last night. That was after hitting 182 in the Cleveland series. Still, New York had a chance in the 8th. So the question is, can they put that behind them in quick order? Game 2 in 2 hours, Valdez, Severino. And after seeing Donaldson, Carpenter, and Kiner Falefa last night in this postseason, Pablo, could the lineup shakeup be the move?
I mean, Verlander makes everybody in the Yankees lineup look like Josh
Every
Donaldson,
year.
which is my personal nightmare.
Exactly.
Honestly,
Yeah.
so I would like to shoot him into space in general. But the fact is, Tony, the case for the Yankees right now is that was the game that they knew they had to punt, basically, right? They're coming right off of winning the ALDS. They knew that they had Verlander. Now, finally, they get an actual starting pitcher who starts games in Severino today. So I think there is hope because there's no Verlander and we actually have.
Oh, wait.
yeah,
Okay,
a
so
real
you're
starter
punting
that I
a
think.
game in a 7-game series? That's the strategy
That's the
for
case.
the New York Yankees? Mina Kais, how about you?
I wouldn't say they punted on it, but I do think they've got a better chance in the next one against Framber Valdez, who has been very good, but just okay against righties. And we know that the Yankees lineup is very right-handed. One of those right-handed batters, Giancarlo Stanton, is 4 for 8 against Valdez this year. I look for him to energize this Yankees
Tim
bats.
Kalish
Yankees
show.
bats.
I don't see any place where the Yankees have an edge or even with the Astros. The starting pitching for Houston's better, the bullpen's better, the lineup's better. Houston will play its last game at home today until the World Series. They'll finish it in New York, either in a sweep or maybe Cole wins and they win in 5. That's it. It's the end of the story.
Well, I guess let's just go to commercial then. It's already been decided.
That's it. Go to commercial.
Justin Tinsley, you have anything here for New York or
Yeah,
Houston?
I'm not even practicing hyperbole when I say this. This is the biggest game of the Yankee season because if they lose this, they're not beating Houston 4 out of 5. So 2 things has to go right for New York today. Severino has to pitch a gem. He's at least got to go 6 innings to get to that bullpen. And the Yankees, they can't not strike out, but they can't strike out 17 times as they did in Game 1. The bat.
Yeah,
have
good
to
advice
do
there,
something.
Justin. Way to go. The hitting coach
you know,
for the New York Yankees. Guys, let's-
MLB
you don't have to
analyst,
not
Justin
strike
Tinsley.
out, but just don't strike out 17 times.
That's right.
Pablo, you got something from Mattress Mac here?
Tony, that was our story on ESPN Daily today. He has the largest payout in sports gambling history if the Astros win the World Series. And the worst part is, I like him so much that I kind of feel tempted to begin to consider what an Astros World Series win would be like. So that's how good this is. Please listen. Thank you. Apologies.
That'll be the
to
last
my
word
ancestors.
from it. Score, Con, Calishaw, Tinsley, showdown. Next. Down.
Come on. Yeah,
Steph Curry
Dave.
cheering for his brother-in-law, Damian Lee.
Stick with it. I'm sorry, I can't. It's crying.
Waking up the kids screaming. That's a Steph Curry problem, but we've all been in this situation before, maybe all of us, right? Waking up the kids screaming after a big win, big play, brutal loss, terrible play. Fair or foul, Tim?
It's fair. First of all, it's 9:30 Pacific time. Those kids can stay up a little later than that.
How dare
Maverick
you.
fans were
How
screaming for
dare
another
you,
reason when
Tim.
Damian Lee did that. But, there's a former teammate and a brother-in-law. So double props
JT?
for him.
Yeah, I wanna apologize to my wife Jade in advance because this is absolutely going to be me in a couple of months when our son gets here because I'm definitely going to wake this kid up the way I yell at the way I yell at TVs all the time.
Son!
Our
Oh, this is breaking
It's our
news.
son.
Whoa. Whoa.
You haven't experienced this yet. You get the points now, but you'll be losing the points at home in
I
a
already
few
know.
months. And you'll
I
love every
already
second
know.
of it. Showdown 2. Boos from the crowd here in Napoli. In this fake-out shot by Quarantine Mutet. Look at it again.
Of course.
Quarantine Mutet goes with a trick shot or a fake-out shot for a point that he would already won, I would bet. Justin, was that boo-worthy? Is that shot cool, unnecessary? Oh.
No way, the boos were not worthy. That was an incredible shot. It reminds me of my N1 mixtape days coming home from high school and watching that on ESPN. That should have been done at Rucker Park, and the reaction would have been completely different.
TC?
Definitely a boo-worthy shot, unnecessary. Something I might have considered a few years ago against Monte Ellis, but the match was already one-sided. You don't have to do that. The man wasn't even.
Oh, what a
on the
name
six
drop.
months.
Tim, you got to
Case
tell the
you
whole
forgot.
story
Man
now.
wasn't on the
You're
court.
at the grocery
So,
store.
yeah.
Monte Ellis, NBA vet of 10 years, 15 years maybe,
Six
came
love,
up to you and said
6'3".
you want to play tennis. You said yes. And what was the final?
6'11", 6'3".
All right, you got your credit in there. You're getting a mute for the name drop. Patrick Mahomes is Showdown 3. He said he'd appreciate a Super Bowl title more now than when he was young. He's 27 now. He won at 24. Tim, what's something you'd appreciate more now than when you were young 3 years ago?
Even though I give young people a hard time for taking pictures of everything, maybe a little more video, a little more, photography of my youth.
More selfies of your youth? All right, fine.
I gotta go
Jason.
college, man. College time is the one thing you can't get back, and those were the 4 best years of my life. So that.
Justin Tinsley, 30 seconds of FaceTime.
And speaking of college, the moment we finish this, I will be en route to Hampton University for my school's homecoming, my first homecoming since 2019. But I also want to shout out Byron Perkins, who's a defensive back at Hampton University, who came out earlier today as gay. He's the first HBCU player to come out as gay. I hope I can meet him this weekend, and shout out to him. I'm proud of him.
Hampton University, what they say, the real HQ? I didn't say it.